Today I got a chance to talk to Molly Bradbury, the current owner of Bitter and Bitters, one of the most interesting bitters company I have ever dealt with. Seriously, their bitters flavors are all over the map. Memphis Barbecue bitters, Mexican mole bitters, they're bitters that I didn't even get to try because they came out with them after I left New Mexico, Togarashi bitters, and on and on. So super fun episode, super cool to get into what exactly it is that you do when you own a bitters company. Without any further ado, here's Molly. Thanks for listening to Serves You Right. On the line, I have here Molly, who is the owner of Bitter and Bitters, one of the more unique bitters companies I've ever tried. So, Molly, what does it take to run a bitters company? What do you do day to day?
So day to day, I'm running the company by myself. So I will do anything from mopping the floor in the manufacturing space through making the bitters, doing working with distributors to get the product around in the United States. Currently, I'm working on some export partnerships. So I just got back from a trip to Colombia where I was presenting the bitters to a number of South American buyers. And then there's also just going out and having cocktails and speaking with bartenders and trying what they come up with the product.
Yeah. It sounds like a tough job. Well, I'm sure, yeah, that's the highlight reel, but you did lead with the mopping part, so I guess there's some honesty there.
Yeah, there's always mopping.
There is always mopping. So for those of the people who are listening who maybe not try Bitter and Bitters, I think it's probably one of the more unique products in the market. What makes your bitters different than, say, an Angostura or Peychaud that everyone on the street would know?
Sure. I would say the main difference is that our starting place for our flavor combinations come from culinary traditions. So, for instance, we have Jamaican jerk, Mexican mole, Memphis barbecue. So we're kind of taking the profiles that you would have in those cuisines and then making it an accessible product for bartenders to be able to experiment with. So, similar to like a Peychaud's or an Angostura or other aromatic bitters, we do use a blend of different things. It's not just a single flavor. Like Fee Brothers has a lot of the single flavors, which are really useful for trying to create culinary flavors, but we blend everything to already have the full flavor profile.
Sure.
So, for like mole, I was just going to say
yeah.
in the case of the Mexican mole, it already has the chocolate, cinnamon, and cayenne. So you have the spiciness and then all of those other flavors, rather than having to try to like mix and match with Amari and other liqueurs behind the bar to try to get that same kind of profile.
Okay, yeah. Then I was thinking, Fee Brothers is a good example because they have the like classic orange and then some of their more exotic flavors, the celery, the grapefruit. So for Bitter and Bitters, you think of it more instead of that single tone, maybe like a symphony, like a bunch of different tones played together.
Yes.
I like that. I do remember too, it seems like Bitter and Bitters does not shy away from a little bit of heat with some of the bitters, which I thought was really, really fantastic. Is that universal throughout the whole line, or?
It is. So the majority are made with cayenne pepper, but Jamaican jerk uses habanero, Memphis barbecue is chipotle peppers, Thai bitter uses Thai chilies. And, they do add a little bit of heat, but in the dilution of a cocktail, they really are just there to kind of bring together and round out all the other flavors.
Sure. But it is still a nice kind of backdrop. I feel like it clears the palate just a little bit, kind of delineates those other flavors, just that little bit of heat.
Mm-hmm. Absolutely.
Yeah. Mexican mole bitters, if I remember correctly, was my personal favorite. Do you mind, because you kind of mentioned them, so is there like a progression of the most popular, or like are there any that, above and beyond you should try first if you're just first trying your bitter line?
Yeah, sure. The two most popular are always, it's either Memphis barbecue bitters or the Mexican mole. Those are the top two. They're both very flexible, so they can be used with clear spirits or with brown liquor. Following that is the Thai bitters, which does really well. So just think, that can go anywhere from, a Paloma to a margarita to, anything that's more citrus and clear spirits. It also can kind of give you some of the feeling of gin without using a full gin. So for people who, like a more herbaceous clear spirit, like to add to a vodka, but don't necessarily want the juniper, Thai can
Oh,
kind of sneak in there.
okay, that's cool.
Hmm.
Or maybe like a vodka based like Rubicon maybe would go well with that.
Right.
So a little bit of rosemary.
Hmm.
I'm I'm stretching my memory here. I can't off the top of my head think of any other commercially available barbecue flavorings for like alcoholic beverages.
Hmm.
Is there anything that you can think of, or do you have any
Not
imitators?
really.
Yeah, that's the one that I always we would use it. I remember in our Bloody Mary mix, if I remember correctly, at Secreto,
Hmm.
um, just to give it a little extra complexity. But it's one of those flavors that you don't think about in cocktails. It's just
Yeah.
such a unique thing. Yeah, sorry.
Yeah.
Yeah,
Well, the
it
interesting thing
stands alone. Yeah,
also, well, and with Memphis Barbecue Bitters, the thing that's most interesting is it's our top seller in France by a long shot.
weird,
So in
cool.
Europe, they love
Yeah,
it. And I
sure.
think for what you're speaking to, it's just a really unique combination of flavors that you don't really find anywhere.
Mhm. Yeah, no, that is cool. It does sound like something overseas. Their
Hmm.
idea of Americans, it's like go for the barbecue. Let's do it.
Yep.
Coca-Cola bitters next, maybe.
Hmm.
What have been some of your coolest cocktail memories or moments? Being in bars and seeing people playing around with these bitters.
Yeah. I mean, I've seen anything from, a like using sherry in a martini build with the Togarashi bitters. That was done
Mm.
at Tonic by Winston Green right as soon as that product came out. So he was able to do something really interesting with the Togarashi with that cocktail. I would say currently we have a new bar in town called Milk of the Poppy, and
Mm.
Andy Pollock has come up with a mocktail with our Moroccan bitters that they barrel aged. So they've got a few
Cool.
processes there that make it a really interesting, unique cocktail. But especially, the thing that's nice about bitters is though they're made with alcohol, it's such a small amount that you're putting into a drink that you can do all kinds of mocktails but get that extra flavor. So I think that
Oh, that's a good point. Yeah, yeah.
so I think Andy Pollock right now is killing it for, giving the Moroccan bitters a really nice place in a non-alcoholic beverage.
If you've been enjoying this so far, please take a moment, hit that like button, subscribe, share with a friend. It'd mean the world to me. All right, that's enough. Back to the talk.
Yeah. That actually touches on something I wanted to discuss with you. So so I'm in Omaha, Nebraska now, even though my heart is in Santa Fe originally, and still. Is there a way that one can go online and get your bitters, or because they're alcohol, are they shippable? I know bitters is
Hmm.
such a weird category, so you're nodding your head, so I'm
Yep.
hopeful. Yeah. Okay.
Yes.
So yeah, how do I
So
do
they
that?
are www.bitterandbitters.com. We
Okay.
have a web store and we can ship anywhere in the United States. Um, Bitters are in that in between category. So in the United
Hmm.
States, they're regulated by FDA as a food additive product. So that gives me the ability to ship anywhere. I can use liquor distributors or food distributors. Same thing if you work in restaurants. Sometimes, if let's say Southern Wine and Spirits runs out of Angostura in your region, usually like Shamrock will carry it or Cisco will carry it.
That's how they do
So,
that. Okay. Okay,
right.
that's cool.
So that's a way of bitters being more available in the United States than they are, say, when I ship to South America, they're considered alcohol. So at port, they get taxed as alcohol.
Oh, that's no fun.
Yeah.
But
Oh,
I
yeah.
guess I mean if they're still selling, it's yeah, it is what it is.
Hmm. Yeah.
um,
So it fills a unique space in the United States. There's some states in the U.S. that still want to count it as alcohol, so there's usually a little extra paperwork step.
Sure. Oh yeah, that makes. I mean, yeah, we've dealt with this because we've had more wine makers than anything on this podcast, and every state treats everything completely uniquely. It's like,
Yep.
yeah, it doesn't matter what one state next to it thinks. That's all
Hmm.
unique. Okay. So before we started, we were chatting a little bit. So the former owner, Bill. And so, did you work with Bill before you took over, or how did that happen? How did you come
Yeah.
to own it? Yeah, just
Yeah.
curious.
So we just had, he had a very large order, and that was going to throw him into immediate back order. And
Hmm,
I just offered, it was the shutdown. The restaurant I was working in was closed at the time. So I had the time, and I just offered, like, let me just come help you get caught up. So that
sure.
was basically how it started. So we did that for a couple months, and just through working together and talking, he realized, like, this Molly could be the person to take over the company. I think it helps
Mhm.
that I worked in restaurants for 26 years. I went to school for accounting. I have enough of a background in enough different things, and I had worked in some manufacturing that I was like, I knew enough to know that I would want to do the job, and then he was able to see, like, this is somebody who will actually take the company and grow and keep going with it.
Yeah, you you can't really fake being someone who can do things. You know, you show. It's hard to
Yeah,
explain what I'm thinking there, but you show up and it's like, oh, this is a person who can actually do something.
right.
Yeah. Okay. Cool. Cool. And so you come to help him probably during the pandemic, based on the fact that the restaurants closed down.
Hmm.
Um, what does one do when one is helping make a huge batch of bitters? Like, I
Yeah.
saw him infuse one batch once, and I'm trying to imagine because that was so many years ago. I'm guessing it's scaled up at some point.
Hmm.
So yeah, what does it like even look like?
Yeah.
Yeah.
So it's it was everything from measuring all of the dried ingredients to of course receiving a huge shipment of dry ingredients, and then from that going and measuring them per all of the recipe sheets, and then they go into like large cambros. We add alcohol, and then once the maceration process is completed, then it's a matter of like straining, filtering, and then bottling.
Hmm.
So it's
And
just a lot of steps.
since it's a classed as a food additive, do you need to do it in like a inspected kitchen, or how does that all work?
Yeah,
Yeah.
so we're inspected as food manufacturing in the state of New Mexico, and then at the federal level through FDA, good manufacturing practices. So we
Okay.
have two levels of food safety certifications that we go through.
Fun. Yeah.
Yeah,
I'm still in a restaurant, and just going through one inspection is fun enough. Okay.
just imagine
Uh,
it's a lot like a restaurant inspection, but it's a little bit more intense with food manufacturing, just because they want to make sure that when this product leaves, how long is it shelf stable, and because in the interstate commerce, and they're doubly
yeah.
careful.
Oh my gosh. Yeah. I'm as you're talking to us, like you're touching alcohol, you're crossing state lines, and it's food. It's like every inspection you could possibly run up against, you got it.
Yep, just about.
Yeah. Man, how hard is it to navigate that sort of thing? Like, if I were to start a bitters brand tomorrow, like what hoops should I expect?
I would say, unless you want to read all of the CFRs yourself, I would say get an attorney to help you interpret,
Okay,
because it's
sure.
a lot of legal.
Hmm.
So just from the time, that I came into the company when it was already pretty well set up. Bill had already set everything up. All of the legal things he crossed all those bridges in the first couple of years. So I was able
Hmm.
to come in behind him and see what we were doing, and then actually like reread the laws myself, understanding how it actually functioned for the business. Just, as an owner, it's better to know than not.
Sure. Yeah, especially if
So
you're on the line. Yeah.
yeah, I
Okay.
mean, the thing is that's good about it is, even though like bitters are such a strange in between category, anytime I've called FDA, TTB, like any government agency to get clarification, the people who answer the phone know what they're talking about, and they're really willing to help and navigate you through the process.
Okay. Well, and it may sound like a pain, but there is something comfortable and comforting knowing that all the foods that I'm eating are going through this process.
Right.
Yes, that is kind of nice. It's like food handler certifications. And annoying
Hmm.
when you have to do them, but you're kind of glad that every McDonald's worker that you like, every drive
Yeah,
through, it's like, I'm glad
exactly.
they've all been told to wash their hands. Me
Yes.
too. Yes. Okay.
Yes, we've all learned about the danger zone.
Yes, exactly.
Yeah, I
So,
would say, I mean, if you're coming from the restaurant world, it's not going to be terribly, the transition to like running a food manufacturing business of any sort isn't impossible. You know,
mm,
Friends of mine who are chefs who ended up moving over into that realm, they're fine. It's just
okay.
it's just a more intense version of what you're used to with health inspections.
Okay. Yeah. I mean, I was kind of expecting an answer like that, so that's good to know.
Yeah.
Um, and so you make these batches. How big are these batches when you make them? Can you scale them up,
Um,
or are there
yeah.
like diminishing returns when you do, or how does that
No,
work?
I the only thing that you're really potentially missing is a very minimal amount of evaporation of the alcohol.
Okay.
So, it's easy enough to store them, so they're not going to be exposed to UV light, not going to be evaporating constantly. So, I typically will do, I think I have to go like metric back to standard. 4.5 gallon is the yield per batch that I'm of the size that I'm doing now.
Okay.
So, I mean, it's a fairly decent size, but it's the limitation is like, how heavy can I lift? Because I still have to get all the
Oh,
containers, like
got
how
it.
big is
Yeah.
my sink?
Yeah. And
You
okay,
know.
so yeah, those because I remember. Are you still doing the droppers bottles from when I
Yeah,
left?
so
Oh,
the finished product is 2 ounces.
2 ounces. Okay. Okay. So 4.5 gallons. That's a lot. That's
Yes.
well. How long do they infuse for?
The infusion is 2 weeks total.
Okay. Okay. So you could
So,
do 26 a year if you needed, or you could do concurrently several different if you needed.
yeah.
Okay. Wow. Yeah. So you start adding that up. I mean, that's a lot of weeks, but
Hmm.
I guess it just depends. Do you
Yeah,
have
because
accounts that go through cases at a time, or
absolutely,
yeah?
we ship pallets to France. So,
Good.
it just depends on, yeah,
Yeah.
because we're not working with any large international or large national distributors. It tends to be, I have a more personal relationship with the majority of the bars I sell to. So,
Hmm.
you know, it is a more frequency of orders and smaller amounts per order, but, it's still, we run through a lot of product in the year.
Yeah. That's cool. That's really cool. How long if I got a bottle of the bitter ends for my house, how long would one of
Hmm.
those last me? Because I've only ever used
Indefinite.
it in a bar. Okay, okay, cool.
Yeah. Because
I,
they're 90 proof. So, like a
well,
whiskey, it'll last a very long time.
I like your answer because I was asking something sort of different, but that's good to know. If I was doing like a couple of drops on a drink at night, how long would they last? But
45, it's about 45 to 60 cocktails.
oh, okay, that's not bad at all. Yeah, that's really
Yeah.
good. Okay. Yeah, and there's such good flavors too. Okay, good.
Yeah, and they're
Yeah.
very concentrated, so it really is a matter of like you can get away with just a couple drops, but I know plenty of people who put a full dropper in a cocktail.
Oh yeah. Oh yeah.
Depend
I was gonna ask. Do you know? I'm sure you know, being in the bar scene there, Natalie Bovis.
Yeah, of course.
So in her book, Edible Cocktails, I was gonna find it. I found the book.
Hmm.
I'd ripped out the submission that I gave her, but I have Bitter End's Mexican mole bitters in my drink, the Devil's Delight.
Excellent.
So back in the
Nice.
day, yeah.
Hmm.
So that, and then when I was in Tito's Most Imaginative Bartender in New Mexico, I did a elote cocktail with the Mexican mole bitters. There was a like a street elote
Hmm.
cocktail inspired twist. It was weird, but it was cool. But
Yeah,
uh,
awesome.
they actually they do really well, and it's in a lot of different. Yeah, I mean that is a vodka based drink, and for Natalie's book, it was a whiskey based. So that's
Hmm.
a pretty good range for one bitters.
Yeah, absolutely.
Do you have any plans for new flavors or anything you're working on kind of in the background? Or?
Yeah, I have some prototypes that I'm working through that are going to be a little bit stranger. They'd be, you know, hopefully they would do really well in the market and they could be an all the time product, but limited edition to start.
Okay.
So I'm not going to tell you anything more about it yet. Nothing is,
TBD, yes, of
yes.
course. Yeah. Have you ever thought about working with any Indian spices? Because it feels
Hmm.
like it would work well with that, you know. But
Yeah,
the
but
tokarashi were something that I didn't know because those come out after I
mhm.
left. What are those
Yeah.
bitters?
So that is the predominant flavors are sesame, citrus peel, and nori. So
Mm.
it's like the spice
Okay.
that you would put on sushi in a sushi restaurant,
Yeah.
but it plays really well with like lighter vodka, like a vodka, a lighter whiskey, like a newer whiskey. And so just to give an idea of kind of a starting place.
That's awesome. Yeah.
Hmm.
Good on Winston. Yeah. That kid, he was my bar back in the day. So
Yep.
way back in the day. Oh man. Okay. Is there anything we haven't talked about bitter and bitters that someone who never tried the brand or never heard of them, just listening to this podcast for the first time, anything they should know about? Or
Well, you'd mentioned Indian flavors. We do have a curry bitters. So I would say
okay.
for sure, if people like tropical cocktails, so anything with citrus, pineapple, even people are getting more, at least in the Southwest, more familiar with tepache, which is a fermented pineapple spirit. Well, it's not a spirit yet, but from Mexico, it's a fermented, basically, per pineapple wine would be a simple way to put
Sure.
it. But the curry bitters plays really well with that.
Okay.
So
Tapache
I
and
would
curry
say.
bitters.
So that's a good starting place. I mean, I would say like for most people who, have some familiarity with bartending, you'll be able to smell one of these bitters and immediately know what to put it with.
Okay.
They're so strong, so powerful. It's pretty obvious. I would say that for people who are more casual and to just start adding a few drops to cocktails that you make at home anyway.
Hmm.
So even something as simple as a gin and tonic can be completely transformed by the use of like any of the bitters.
Sure, sure. Yeah, or like, even just like vodka soda, just to try them out at first, a little effervescent,
Yes.
just to see if you like
Hmm.
how it plays around. Okay. When I was in New Mexico, Susan's would carry a sampler pack. Do you still
Hmm.
have those sampler packs around, or?
We did there. That was a 4-pack, so that was kind of early on in the company. Now we're up to
Okay.
8 flavors. Actually, I had one on my desk.
Oh,
Let's
sure.
see. So we have this now.
Oh, that's awesome. Yeah, that's even better.
So variety pack with all 8, and then on the back it has all the ingredients, and that will kind of give people a starting place. And then our
Awesome,
website also has suggested cocktails.
awesome, awesome, awesome. Well, Molly, thank you so much for taking a few minutes out of your day and coming to
Of
talk to us about
course.
bitters.
Yeah, my
uh,
pleasure.
for anyone listening who didn't get any of the things she mentioned written down, I'll have a link to the website and definitely go and check them out. They ship internationally. If you're in France,
Hmm.
go try the barbecue bitters. But if you're just having fun at home, order a variety pack and try them all. So, yeah, thank you, Molly.
Yeah, of course. Thank you.
All right, that's the end of the show. Thank you for listening to Serves You Right. My name is Andrew. If you have not, please hit like, subscribe, send to a friend. The more listeners we get, the more subscribers, the more cool guests we can get, and the more cool things we can do. All right, that's it. Episodes of this podcast come out every Tuesday and Thursday, and we'll see you soon. Thanks.